So consider the statement from the verses we read earlier from the book of Exodus regarding this new Pharaoh. It states, "Now there arose a new Pharaoh, or a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph." Well, again, according to the biblical and Quranic narrative of Joseph, he became prominent throughout all of Egypt. So how did this new king not know Joseph? Where did this new Pharaoh come from that he didn't know Joseph? Well, how prominent is the Honorable Louis Farrakhan throughout the world? I mean, despite what you might feel about the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, you have to admit that he is very prominent throughout the world. So does President Donald Trump really know the Honorable Louis Farrakhan? Does he really care to know him? Now, we should assume that he should know him, but that's an assumption. Donald Trump became U.S. president at a time when black people's discontent for the wicked nature of the Caucasian people has exploded to the extent that the United States is now being rattled. We want to refer to this wicked nature as institutional racism, but systems come out of your heart. You want to put it any place but in the nature and heart of the Caucasian people. Who made the institutions? Damn it, you didn't. And the weak Caucasian politicians under the control of the synagogue of Satan are somewhat capitulating to our outcry as a means of deceiving black people into maintaining a hope in a government that is hopeless. And our rise and protests is also part of Pharaoh's plan to deal wisely with us. That's why the protests have been infiltrated with others who are destroying property and harming other people. But despite that this ain't a black person doing it, it's still being put on Black Lives Matter, which generally means black people. Getting set up for the slaughter. Let us deal wisely with them so we can justify mass murder. Ain't that something? Walking right into a deadly trap, thinking you're doing something. Umgawin. Well, President Trump is not a status quo politician. He is neither religious nor political. Prior to vying for the U.S. presidency, Donald Trump had been buried in his vast business affairs. He's a businessman, international businessman. This is why it states in the Bible, "For it is easier for a camel to go through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. The true God of this world is the riches gained through its oppressive industries, and not the righteous principles of God. So rich men ignore divine warning because they have their God in their bank accounts. In this world, the ultra rich are the most inhumane people of all because they start wars for money and they pillage land for its natural resources despite the destruction of human life and animal life. So Donald Trump is relatively uninformed of the depth of the theology of the Nation of Islam and of the work of the Messiah among us, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. In fact, Donald Trump seems to be apathetic towards both the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. His perception of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and black people is distinctly different from politicians before him. Why? Well, President Trump sees himself as a ruler and Lord. Well, that's rightly so. International business people think like conquerors. That's why they use the U.S. military, in the case of the United States, to go and topple people's governments and lands for corporate gain and greed. You know I'm telling the truth. They think like conquerors. Now, as it pertains to black people in America, President Trump compares himself to Abraham Lincoln because he believes he has done much to help black people in his 4 years. He exudes the same extreme paternalistic attitude that Pharaoh had towards the children of Israel. Yes, he does. Listen to him. He talks of black people like we're children. So now President Trump is watching black people vilify him with intense disdain, as to show our ingratitude for what he claims to have done to help us. Has President Trump's misperception of his own goodness, same as Pharaoh, produced vengefulness against black people, the black people of America? If he is elected for another term as U.S. president, what will be his behavior towards black people? What will be the behavior of the millions of white people who support him towards black people?